My name is Dakota Dunn, and welcome back to Done After Dark. Today we're going to be covering Edgar Allan Poe again, but this time we're going to go through a few of his shorter poems, starting with Annabel Lee. With The Raven, it had been a while since my last read, but I remember the broad strokes. With Annabel Lee, however, I can't really remember anything, so this will be much closer to a blind read. Grab yourself something to drink. I'm having an iced tea, and join me for Edgar Allan Poe's Annabel Lee. It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee. And this maiden she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. I was a child, and she was a child, in this kingdom by the sea, but we loved with a love that was more than love, I and my Annabel Lee, with a love that the winged seraphs of heaven coveted her and me. And this was the reason that, long ago, in this kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud chilling my beautiful Annabel Lee, so that her high-born kinsmen came and bore her away from me, to shut her up in a sepulchre in this kingdom by the sea. The angels, not half so happy in heaven, went envying her and me. Yes, that was the reason, as all men know, in this kingdom by the sea, that the wind came out of the cloud by night, chilling and killing my Annabel Lee. But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who were older than we, of many far wiser than we, and neither the angels in heaven above, nor the demons down under the sea, can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabel Lee. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabel Lee, and the stars never rise but I feel the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And so, all the night tide, I lie down by my side of my darling, my life and my bride, in her sepulchre there by the sea, in her tomb by the sounding sea. I really loved this one. We start the first stanza with an almost dark fairy tale kind of feeling, this true love in a kingdom by the sea. In the second stanza, we get this mention of the seraphs of heaven coveting the love between the narrator and Annabel Lee, which I found really interesting. Heaven is supposed to be this idea of perfect, never-ending love, yet they covet this human relationship. It of course goes to show the intensity of the love they felt for each other, but maybe it's young love in particular they covet, since the characters are both described as being a child. An eternal being could never experience the kind of nascent love that Poe is describing. Now, it's worth noting here that Poe himself was married to his 13-year-old cousin while being 27, so his ideas about young love might be a little strange to us. But as we learn next, it's this coveting of perhaps this young love that the narrator blames for taking away his beloved. He describes a wind blowing out of a cloud and chilling Annabel to death. Interestingly, her family comes and the narrator says they take her away from him. Now, this could imply the family didn't approve of their relationship, given they seem not to bring the narrator along to the funeral. Not sure if I'm reading too much into that line, but it does paint an interesting picture of a forbidden nature to this relationship. We then get more talk of the angels' envy, and I'm assuming chilling is referring to Annabel getting some kind of sickness. Now, in this next stanza, we see the narrator declaring, that neither the angels of heaven nor the demons under the sea could separate his soul from his beloved. Demons being under the sea is an interesting visual. The deep dark of the sea floor filled with strange creatures seems an apt place for demons to be. In the final stanza, we learn that the narrator is lying with Annabel's tomb at night. Now, whether this is literally him being there or just a metaphor for how he can't let her go, it does bring to mind more obsession than any sort of healthy love. It is beautiful, in maybe a dark way, that death can't separate him from her, but it definitely brings to mind an immature young love, which it is described as young love earlier in the poem, so it makes sense. But overall, it's a beautiful piece, a haunting tale of love and obsession that transcends death itself. Definitely glad I read this one again. Now, for our next poem, we're going to be going over The City in the Sea, which I've actually never read before, so let's jump right into that one. Lo, death has reared himself a throne in a strange city lying alone, far down within the dim west, where the good and the bad and the worst and the best have gone to their eternal rest. There shrines and palaces and towers, time-eaten towers that tremble not, resemble nothing that is ours. Around, by lifting winds forgot, resignedly beneath the sea, the melancholy waters lie. No rays from the holy heaven come down on the long night time of that town, but light from out the lurid sea streams up the turrets silently, gleams up the pinnacles far and free, up domes, up spires, up kingly halls, up fanes, up Babylon-like walls, up shadowy long-forgotten bowers of sculpted ivy and stone flowers, up many and many a marvelous shrine, whose wreath friezes intertwine the viol, the violet, and the vine. Resignedly, beneath the sky, the melancholy waters lie, so blend the turrets and shadows there, that all seem pendulous in air, while from a proud tower in the town, death looks gigantically down. Their open fanes and gaping graves yawn level with the luminous waves, but not the riches there that lie in each idol's diamond eye. Not the gaily jeweled dead tempt the waters from their bed, for no ripples curl, alas, along that wilderness of glass. No swellings tell that winds may be upon some far-off, happier sea. No heavings hint that winds have been on seas less hideously serene. But lo, a stir is in the air, the wave, there is a movement there, as if the towers had thrown aside, in slightly sinking, the dull tide, as if their tops had feebly given a void within the filmy heaven. The waves now have a redder glow, the hours are breathing faint and low, and when, amid no earthly moans, down, down that town shall settle hence, hell, rising from 1,000 thrones, shall do it reverence. Kind of brings to mind many a coastal city in the next century. Jokes aside, we first get the picture that the city is ancient, given the mention of their shrines, palaces, and towers looking nothing like ours. This brings to mind something far in the distant past, with unrecognizable architectural styles. This is a place ruled by death, a realm well beyond the reaches of life. We then learn, if we didn't from the title, that the city is far underwater, where sunlight dare not reach. There is, however, a light from below. It paints the city in, at least what I would picture to be, a faint and ominous glow. It gleams up many a marvelous shrine, up beautiful floral statues, and up Babylon-like walls. This says two things to me. Firstly, it was a grand and beautiful city, with ornate sculptures and beautiful towering buildings. The reference to Babylon furthers this, but it also brings another connotation. Given how Babylon is often characterized in art, especially in Christian art, it paints the city in a much more evil light. Maybe this city has met its fate for a reason. We'll see more of that at the end, though. The next stanza expands on the wealth this lost city had in its life, with gaily jeweled dead and diamond eyes and idols. These riches could not save the city from its fate, though, as it cannot tempt the water from their beds. The stanza also refers to the sea as hideously serene, which brings to mind some sort of inland sea without waves, but I'll get into what sea exactly at the end. In the last stanza, the city collapses into the ocean, and hell itself rises to meet it. This goes back to what I said earlier about the city being evil. Hell rises to the city and will do it reverence. This would imply that the city was of a profound evil, doomed to its eternal death due to its own horrible actions. The evil city doomed to death, greeted by hell itself, says a lot about human evil, that it can reach the evil of hell itself, and that it will only lead you to death and decay. Now, for a bit of context, the website I'm using to get this story, the Edgar Allan Poe Society of Baltimore website, has a notes section, and there they mention that the most likely source of inspiration behind this poem was Sodom and Gomorrah beneath the Dead Sea. This would make a lot of sense, and would explain the calm, serene waters that we mentioned earlier. Whether that's true or not, however, the poem gives an interesting exploration of the decay and death that human evil leads to. Our next and final poem of the night is A Dream Within a Dream, which I have also never read, so let's get right into that. Take this kiss upon the brow, and, in parting from you now, thus much let me avow. You are not wrong who deem that my days have been a dream, yet if hope has flown away, in a night or in a day, in a vision or in none, is it therefore the less gone? All that we see or seem is but a dream within a dream. I stand amid the roar of a surf-tormented shore, and I hold within my hand grains of the golden sand. How few, yet how they creep through my fingers to the deep, while I weep, while I weep. Oh God, can I not grasp them with a tighter clasp? Oh God, can I not save one from the pitiless wave? Is all that we see or seem but a dream within a dream? This one was pretty short, so I don't have quite as much to say about it, but I really loved this one. It feels very raw, a very emotional poem about the endless passage of time and all we lose to it. The poem came out just a couple of years after his wife died young, an event that would haunt him for the rest of his life. You can feel that tragedy in this poem, a piece about loss and trying to hold on to any little thing you can through time. The poem starts with the departure of someone the narrator loves. The narrator says his days have been a dream. Perhaps he had a beautiful life with this person who is dying. We end the stanza with the line, all that we see or seem is but a dream within a dream. This line is so beautiful. It stands out amongst already incredibly well-written poems. To me, this is saying that everything in life is as impermanent and transitory as a dream within a dream. In the next stanza, the narrator tries desperately to hold on to grains of golden sand as waves crash onto the shore, pulling them away. The narrator despairs that he cannot save even a single one, and we end this poem with a variation of the stanza of the earlier line. This time, is all that we see or seem but a dream within a dream? This second stanza is heart-wrenching, a lamentation that we cannot save even a single thing from the endless flow of time, and that eventually we will lose everything, every person, and even our memories of them. Again, I feel the line about dreams refers to the impertinence of everything, that even our reality itself is as temporary and unreal as a dream within a dream. It's an incredibly tragic but honest outlook from someone who lost so much. What a beautiful poem. Well, thank you all for joining me for tonight. It's been wonderful reading for you, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss more. As always, sweet dreams.